Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a trip, a spectacular architectural journey right along the ancient Silk Road. We're heading straight into the heart of Central Asia to explore the sweeping, flame-colored cities of Uzbekistan. This is a place where, honestly, empires rose and fell, where ancient scholars literally mapped the stars, and where some of the most breathtaking monuments in human history were built. We're going to unpack the secrets of these massive, sky-blue structures and see exactly how they were put together, both physically and spiritually. Okay, let's dive right into this. What makes a public square a masterpiece of faith, math, and empire? It's a pretty fascinating question, right? Because, when we think of public squares today, we usually just picture a paved area, maybe a few benches, or a subway entrance. But back in the historical Islamic world, and especially under the Timurid dynasty, a public square wasn't just a place to sit. It was this overwhelming display of divine geometry, cutting-edge engineering, and imperial power, all perfectly woven together. Our sources actually describe this region so beautifully. They call it, quote, a land where time seems to pause, a symphony in blue and gold. And that hits the nail on the head. Uzbekistan isn't just a bunch of old ruins. It's a living museum. It's this incredible canvas where advanced geometry, deep religious faith, and raw human ingenuity all converge. You're literally walking through a landscape etched in turquoise mosaics and celestial domes. Section 1. A Symphony in Blue. The Silk Road Cities. So, to really get a feel for this symphony, we kind of need to zoom out first and take a quick macro-level tour of the region's historical hubs. Before we get to the absolute crown jewel, we have to grasp the sheer scale of this heritage. Out in the desert, you have Khiva. It's a walled city so pristine it almost feels like a mirage, highlighted by the Islam Khaja minaret, which soars up like a sapphire needle, stitching the earth to the heavens. Then you've got Tashkent, the capital that bridges eras. It's home to the Hazreti Imam complex, which houses the Uthman Quran, widely believed to be the oldest in the world. And of course, we can't forget Bukhara, a city that once literally rivaled Baghdad for Islamic scholarship, famous for its Ark fortress in this crazy labyrinth of vaulted trading domes where merchants used to haggle over silk and spices. And while we're talking about Bukhara, I have to share this incredible number with you, 47. That's the height in meters of Bukhara's Kalyan minaret. That translates to over 150 feet, built way back in 1127. But here's a totally wild historical fact. This masterpiece of geometric Seljuk brickwork was so imposing, so intimidating, that when Genghis Khan was sweeping through the region, destroying everything in his path, he actually ordered his men to spare this specific tower. It literally stopped the great conqueror right in his tracks. No way, right? Section 2. Samarkand's Registan Square, the crown jewel. Now, what's really interesting here is the complex physical layout of Registan Square itself. This place represents the absolute pinnacle of the Timurid Renaissance. We're not just talking about one building, it's an entire town-forming social and academic center. First off, you have 3 colossal madrasas, or Islamic schools, Sherdor, Ulogbek, and Tilyakori. And they face each other in perfect geometrical harmony. These were massive, buzzing intellectual hubs. Then, complementing the schools, you had these vital religious and civic structures, like a grand mosque, a khangaha, and a 2-story audience hall. And finally, surrounding the whole shebang were gardens laid out in totally symmetrical cheharba arrangements. This was not accidental. This urban planning was intentionally designed to reflect the idea of an earthly paradise built right in the center of the Silk Road's busiest caravanserai. But, before you can have an earthly paradise covered in brilliant blue tiles, you got to do the heavy lifting. Local, cut sandstone blocks formed the sturdy foundation of the Registan's grand scale. Uzbekistan is incredibly rich in stone. The builders didn't just import materials from far away. The entire square was meticulously constructed from local sandstone. This raw, austere geometry had to be perfectly placed before anyone even thought about the intricate tile work. So how exactly did they cut all this massive stone back in the 14th and 15th centuries? Well, first, stonemasons chiseled the sandstone to a flat surface. Next, they drilled holes into it using a highly specialized tube drill. But here's the brilliantly bizarre part. To keep the drill from overheating, they cooled it using a paste made of water mixed with camel dung. Yup, camel dung. It increased the cohesiveness of the paste and significantly reduced friction. Once they drilled several centimeters deep, they'd insert wooden pegs into the holes. Finally, they would wet the wood. The wood absorbs the water, expands, and cleanly cracks those massive sandstone blocks to the exact needed dimensions. Honestly, it's just pure engineering genius. Section 3. mastering mosaics and calligraphy, the language of patterns. When we look at this art, two crucial terms really define it. First is jiri, which refers to those complex, repetitive geometric patterns you see everywhere. Second is islimi, which are the sweeping floral arabesques. And it's so vital to understand that in Islamic architecture, this isn't just pretty decoration. These patterns actually symbolize infinity and Allah's omnipresence. It's visual theology. The geometry diffuses from the Muslim world as this highly intellectual exercise, completely transforming the physical buildings into a continuous dialogue with the divine.
Alongside all that geometry, we also have the incredibly important role of Islamic calligraphy. Since antiquity, text has obviously been the essential medium for preserving knowledge. But here, calligraphy transforms the written word into a magnificent visual art form. It features Quranic verses, for sure, but also the actual names of the rulers and architects, which beautifully blends the spiritual with elite identity. By using stunning styles like the swirling Thulit script, this urban calligraphy acts as an aesthetic anchor. It conveys costliness, piety, and deep sophistication. It fostered a real sense of local pride and solidarity for everyone walking through the square, and it was applied masterfully across stone, wood, paper, and even leather.
Section 4. Archways, domes, and minarets. The blueprint of heaven. Moving your gaze upward, the physical structures of the Timurid era are just sheer engineering marvels. They feature these huge, high archways, known as iwans, along with hidden cupolas decorated with beautiful brick patterns, and domes ringed with really tall minarets. And this brilliantly illustrates how the scale and the perspectual experience completely captivate the eye. By using deep arches and nested polygons, the architects created this highly dramatic play of intense sunlight and deep interior shadow. It naturally beckons the visitor to step out of the hot sun and right into those cool, grand interior spaces. And what exactly do you see when you step inside? Well, the interiors were actually designed to function as cosmic astrolabes because the builders, like Timur's grandson Ulugh were deeply, deeply passionate about astronomy. The ceilings of the madrasas are painted with rich sky blues, deep reds, and a highly intricate filigree of gold stars and constellations. Even the wooden columns and ceilings replicate a versatile blue astrological chart. The architecture literally acts as a fixed universal reference to the heavens above. It subtly but powerfully unites human, earthly knowledge with infinite cosmic energy. Section 5. The eternal architectural legacy, bridging the mortal and divine. To really understand the weight of this legacy, let's compare it for a second to the legendary Alhambra in Spain. The Alhambra is famous for its highly intricate exterior ornamentation, but comparatively, its interior beauty is considered a bit more limited. So, the crucial point is that Regency Square offers a completely immersive, inside-out artistic experience. The abundance of deeply meaningful mosaic ornamentation adorns not just the entire exterior facade facing the square, but it flows right into the porticos, the interior chambers, and all the way up onto the spectacular celestial mapped ceilings we were just talking about. It is a completely unbroken aesthetic and spiritual environment. But what I really want you to take away from all of this is that this isn't just a story about dead history or ancient ruins. This is a living heritage. Right now, today, craftsmen in the region are firing Rishton pottery using techniques that are literally 1,000 years old. Master tile makers in Samarkand are actively decoding ancient Timurid fragments just to keep these specific, hyper-complex geometric patterns alive. The past isn't gone in Uzbekistan, it's being actively preserved by modern hands. So in a world moving as fast as ours does today, what can we learn by stepping into the eternal blue light of the past? Regency Square teaches us that when we combine rigorous science, like the geometry of the tube drills and astrolabes, with an uncompromising pursuit of beauty and spiritual meaning, we can create something that stops time. We can create an earthly paradise that echoes for centuries. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep exploring, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.